is voted down. That's the power of having a vote in the UN. So when all these other countries came up, these other four countries came up with a resolution to say that what Russia did was illegal. Russia, which has voting rights, stepped up and voted against their resolution, and that canceled the entire resolution. So as far as the UN is concerned now, what Russia did is not illegal. Now, I'm not going to argue for it one way or another. I'm not going to get into that, especially not today. Um, but as far as the UN is concerned, because one country voted to say, no, what you four are saying is gibberish, then that stands. Well, it's the same thing with the Catholic Church has the same power that Russia has in the UN. The Catholic Church has the same power that the US has in the UN. The Catholic Church has the same power.
All right, want to say Shabbat Shalom and welcome back to you all, Mashwaka. It is my hope that you enjoyed the break and the video that decided to put on. That one goes back for man. That one goes back a little while. It might be. I'm thinking that video may be about a couple years old or so. Um, but it's a video on the Shabbat. There's much more to that lesson, but it's only one part of it that was actually posted to YouTube. The rest of it is still here on Fuse that I've never posted. But because of time, I haven't had a chance to get it posted. Um, now. Um, let's see what we're going to do here now is we're getting ready to go back to uh, the book of Mashali, the book of Proverbs. And so, you know what, give me just a second. I'm trying to get things in order here. I think, let me just see, Akud Kaz. Okay, Akud Kaz, you wanted that video that was just playing Akut? I want to make sure. Okay, Akut. Okay, we'll do Akut. We'll do. All right. Yes, we'll do. Oh, you're welcome, Akut. Yeah, let me make a note to self before I forget. Let me just jot down a note here. Okay. All right. Now I restarted the live stream on YouTube, but I'd forgotten to tag everyone, to send out the invite to everyone. Um, in uh, Okay. Yeah, I'd forgotten to send out the invite to everyone. I'm going to respond to it here. I saw it as I was speaking. Um, Here, I'm going to respond to that question. All right. So the question is, does the Pope come in his own name as the vicar to the made up Christ? Right. Um, well, well, we know that, yeah, the made up Christ isn't real. Christos, right? Christos, which is a reference to the anointed of Zeus. That's what Christos is, the anointed of Zeus. So, in essence, yeah, the Pope does come in his own name. Christianity, Catholicism come in its own name because what it espouses, the mighty ones that it espouses, they're simply not real. You know, they're just not real. So they're coming in their own name. You know, they okay. They are the creators of fables. You see, so they're operating in fables, misleading people by fables. So yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about the worship of the sun, Baal. Absolutely. All right. So, family, we're preparing to go to Shalom. Not Shalom, I'm sorry. We're preparing to go to Mashali, book of Mashali. As we continue, you know, a study of wisdom, a study of wisdom. We started out in chapter 6 last Shabbat, if you recall. And I'm just going to ask the family real quick. Let's see if you've been reflecting on what we looked at last week. Uh, there were two words that I'd asked the Bayat, the Mashpaka, the family, the assembly, to reflect on over the past week. Anyone remember what those two words were? Um, One of them was laziness, and the other one was procrastination, right? One things that we looked at last week, we discussed from the book, from the scriptures last week. Laziness and procrastination, right? Okay, so we're going to pick back up again here in chapter 6 this week. Book of Mashali, book of Proverbs, chapter 6. I'll be sharing the scriptures on the screen. Let me just see. Just double check, because again, I didn't have a chance to send the family the invite. Let me just send a quick invite here, family, for YouTube, because I did not. Kind of ran out of time in the process. I had to make a last minute dash. So bear with me just for a second. All right. All right, let me just send this out. We're going to get started. Okay, we're going to get started. We're going to the book of Mashali, Proverbs chapter 6, picking up from where we left off last Shabbat, okay? And of course, since we've been doing these studies, we've been kind of going back and forth between Mashali, Proverbs, and the book of Sirach, or Sayarah, more correctly, and Songs of Shalama. All right. So we're going to chapter 6 and picking up from there this week. Book of Proverbs, chapter 6. We talked about, one of the things we also talked about last week was co-signing, becoming a guarantor for others. We talked about that. Okay. I'm just going to read. I'm not going to go over all this again. I'm just going to read until we get to where the things that we have not yet looked at in more detail. It says, my son, if you have become guarantor for your friend, have shaken hands in pledge for a stranger, have been sneered by the words of your mouth, your own mouth, have been caught by the words of your mouth. Do this at once, my son, and deliver yourself, or you have come into the hand of your friend. Go humble yourself and urge your friend. In other words, get out of it as quick as possible. Okay. I had a situation, I've had a few situations. I had a situation where I co-signed on a mortgage for one of my family members, and that came back to hurt me very badly. Also had a situation where I opened up a cell phone account for a friend of mine who ran up the bill and didn't worry about paying it. And that came back to hurt me, and I, in the end, had to pay for it. And so what I say to you is, as Yahuah says to his people, you don't become a co-signer, a guarantor, unless you're willing to take full responsibility. And you cannot claim to be willing to take full responsibility of something unless you know that you have the ability to pay it. You see, remember, the wicked borrows and do not repay. And so you can't just jump into something saying, okay, I'm going to do it. I don't know how, if it comes down to it, how I'm going to pay it or anything like that, but I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do it anyway. No, you can't do that. You can't take that attitude. You see, we need to know what it is exactly that we're getting into. We need to plan. We need to consider the cost, you see, in everything. Now he says, deliver yourself like a gazelle, verse 5, from the hunter's hand, and like a bird from the hand of the trapper. So Yahuah, when it comes to debt and taking on debt, Yahuah uses these terms of the hunter and the hunted. You see, of the predator and of the prey. These are the terms that Yahuah uses when it comes to debt and acquiring debt. As we continue to study, he'll tell us that the borrower is always a slave to the lender. So even though we live in a society and we live in a culture that promotes debt, why does the society and the culture in which we live promote debt? Why does it? Because that's how they get over on us. That's what they used to get over on us. Earlier, we talked about a system. We talked about the enemy, how the enemy conspire against us. Well, debt, yep, absolutely is. Absolutely is. So when you talk about debt, you're talking about, especially in today's society, you can't talk about debt without considering the banking system. Okay? You can't talk about debt without considering the banking system. Akid Derek pointed out that credit is an Ashkenazi tradition. They develop credit. And you know what credit does? You know, the people, when they developed this whole system, they didn't develop it with their own money. They're con artists. You know how credit works? They take your money, lend it to somebody else, and collect interest on your money, then give you back your money at no interest. You make nothing off of it, and they make a whole lot off of it. They become rich off of your money. They invented the system. You see, as a matter of fact, as we talk about that, I could show you the history of banking, the creators, those who created, and how wealthy they are today. How wealthy they are today. Not because they had any wealth, but because they were master manipulators. So it's not by coincidence that Yahuah uses analogies such as predator and prey. It's not by coincidence that Yahuah uses analogies such as the hunter and the hunted when it comes to death. We've got to understand how serious it is. And as a people, we've got to realize we've got to develop patience, because we grew up in a society that conditioned us not to want to wait for anything, not to work toward anything, but rather to get everything overnight. You see, but we got to learn how to be content in all things. Simply because they're making new cars don't mean that we got to have a new car or the latest model or the latest tablet or the latest computer or the latest this or the latest that. No, we're just falling into their trap. We're just on their wheel. You see, we are consumers. And oftentimes you see reports where they're talking about the consumer and what they say, consumer, I forget the terminology they would use, but they're basically measuring the confidence of the consumer. And people hear them talking about consumers and think that it's something good. It's not good that you are the consumer. Are you a locust? You're just consuming up everything? You know, black people, unfortunately, are some of the greatest dependable consumers for those who prey on people. They know that if they make a sneaker, put Michael Jordan's name on it, put it out there, black people are going to run in droves and they're going to spend $175, $200 to buy a pair of sneakers because it has somebody's name on it. They know that black people are going to go out there and they're going to spend money they ain't got to impress people who don't like them, because we have bought into the idea that to be called a consumer is a good thing. We're going to buy Versace. We're going to buy Tommy Hilfiger. We're going to buy all the people who hate us. We're going to buy their stuff, make them billionaires. We're going to buy Gucci, Trump. We're going to encourage our children in wasting their money on all this. And we're going to stupidly think that to be called a consumer is a good thing. To be called a consumer is not good. To be called a consumer, it is not a credit. It is not a, what do you call it? It is not good. Yeah, you're being called a termite. You destroy everything in your path. It's not good to be called a consumer. So they talk about the consumer index, consumer confidence. consumer this and consumer that. And we're running around consuming ourselves. We have consumed everything. Now we're consuming ourselves. Because when you spend everything you have to consume what you think you need, and now you have nothing else, what do? You turn to credit. And that's where they lend you other people's money. And they even lend you your own money. And then charge you interest on lending you your own money. So when Yahuah talks about debt, he speaks about it in the sense of being free or being a slave. He speaks about it from the perspective of being predator and prey. And he speaks about it from the perspective of being hunter and the hunted. It is therefore then no coincidence that we see the people behind it are the people most responsible for the oppression and depression of our people. I'm going to share a little bit of something with you here. Bear with me just for a second until I get it up on the screen. I've got to stop sharing my screen for a moment so I can get it on the screen. And let's look at this for a moment. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull up the book, Synagogue of Satan. Let's see. Synagogue of Satan. I'm going to put it on the screen. This is a history of banking. This is a history of banking. Give me 1 second. Let's see here. This is a history of banking. The secret history of Jewish world domination. Secret history of Jewish world domination. When we talk about the identity of the people, and we've discussed this many times, the Jews claim to be the people of the book, the people of Scripture. But yet when you study the Jews, you find that the origin of the Jews is not from the East, but from Caucasia, from the territory of Khazaria. Okay? As the Jews. I'm going to just show you, and this gives you the history of the Jews. Talk about their language, Yiddish. Hebrew is their language also, because we don't speak Hebrew. We don't know a language called Hebrew. Hebrew is Yiddish in every sense. We speak Abari, that's our language. Language of the people. Okay? Now, we take a look at how they developed. Okay? How they developed. I'm going to read some of this for you. How the whole banking system got put into play. The very system that has turned us into consumers. They make money off of our consumption. We make nothing. You see? Oliver Cromwell in 1649. I don't know how many people have heard that name. Very prominent name. Oliver Cromwell. Very prominent name. I know growing up in school, I was taught about Oliver Cromwell. He was somebody to be esteemed. A good man. You see? That's what they tell us. was a good man. Oliver Cromwell was a good man. You know, be thankful for Oliver Cromwell. Did a lot of stuff for you people. Okay? Be thankful for Mr. Cromwell. Okay? Now, oh wait. No, is anybody, can you see, oh, 1 second. Are you able to see the screen, family? Let's see. Let me check to see if the family can see the screen. Wait, give me a second. Not on fuse? Okay, let me stop and start again. All right, bear with me just for a second.
We'll take it off.
All right, I got to try to, this is a challenge. Okay, let me close. I got to close out some stuff here because that gets in the way where I can't. All right, can you see the screen now, family, on Fuse? My computer seemed to be acting slow here. That might be messing with me now because I'm getting ready to get into their stuff. It might be still black. Family, I'm telling you, you should be seeing it, but they're messing with me. That's what they do. Okay? You touch certain subject and they mess with you. I'm telling you, you should be seeing the screen. You really should be seeing the screen, but they're blacking it out. Okay? And now my thing is going in circles. Okay? But you should, there is no reason why you shouldn't be seeing the screen. Anyway, you can see, but I'm going to read. This is 1649. Oliver Cromwell obtains backing from the British Parliament for the execution of King Charles I on a charge of treason. Afterwards, Cromwell permits the Jews to enter England again, but does not reverse the edict of expulsion issued by King Edward I in 1290, which expelled all Jews forever from England. And the book that we are reading, called The History of the Jews, will talk about this also. Expelled from England and made the provision that now why were the Jews so hated? And it wasn't all Jews that were hated, but why were some of them so hated? Because some of them were actually mixing with our people. That's what made them hated. And not only that, that wasn't the only reason why the Jews were hated, but there were also barbarians. They were considered barbarians by the British. Okay? They were a ragtag people. They were rough, you see. King Bulan, he was vicious, you know, and so they were seen as, you know, not so appealing to everybody else. Also another reason. Now, indeed, okay, so where we at? Reverse edict expulsion issued by King Edward I in 1290, which expelled all Jews forever from England and made the provision that any who remain after November 1st, 1290 were to be executed. Indeed, England is not the first country to expel the Jews. Here is a partial list of all the areas from which the Jews have been banished from, sometimes on numerous occasions over the last 1,000 years. Mainz, France, Upper Bavaria, England, France, and it's giving the date. These are different times: Lithuania, Portugal, Naples, Navarre, Nuremberg, Brandenburg, Prussia, Genoa, Naples, and this, you know, and the different times when these expulsions have happened. Okay? Now, let me go down a little bit more. Jewish author Bernard Lazare stated the following with regard to these expulsions of Jews: if this hostility, even aversion, had only been shown towards the Jews at one period and in one country, it would be easy to unravel the limited causes of this anger. But this race has been, on the contrary, an object of hatred to all the peoples among whom it has established itself. It must be therefore since the enemies of the Jews belonged to the most diverse races, since they lived in the countries very distant from each other, since they were ruled by very different laws governed by opposite principles, since they had neither the same morals nor the same customs, since they were animated by unlike dispositions which did not permit them to judge of anything in the same way, it must be, therefore, that the general cause of anti-Semitism, which is a false term, has always resided in Israel itself and not in those who had fought against Israel. So what this guy is saying is that the reason why the Jews continue to see uh, expulsion and adversity from other nations, since these are nations of different peoples, not even close to each other, then what he's saying is, this is what this Jewish man is saying, the problem must be within us ourselves and not with all these people. We're making it seem like these people are the problem, but the problem must be us. It must be us, since, we keep facing expulsion, is what he said, right? Some of that has some truth to it. And then there are other reasons also. All right. Now, I want to jump forward a little bit, because what I really want to get to is the banking. Okay. What I really want to get to is the banking. Okay. So here we go. Let me start at 1688. A.N. Field, in his book All These Things, published in 1931, explains the situation in England this year as a result of Cromwell's decision to ignore the law banning the Jews from entering England and allowing them back in defiance of the law only 33 years earlier, as follows. 33 years after Cromwell had led the Jews into Britain, a Dutch prince arrived from Amsterdam, surrounded by a whole swarm of Jews from that Jewish financial center, driving his royal father-in-law out of the kingdom. He graciously consented to ascend the throne of Britain. A very natural result following on this event was the inauguration of the national debt by the establishment 6 years later of the Bank of England for the purpose of lending money to the crown. Britain had paid her way as she went until the Jew arrived. Now, this is, you see, the Bank of England, the Bank of America, the Bank of this, the Bank of that, the Bank of the Nations. These are Jewish institutions, Jewish founded institutions, and they became the bank of the countries. That we all know that the Federal Reserve is not the Federal Reserve. We all know that. You hear federal, you say, oh, that's the federal government. No, the Federal Reserve is not the federal government. Everybody here knows that, right? We all know that, right? Family, they are working to prohibit the broadcast of this. Everything was working good until I put this up here. They're just working to prohibit it. You see, they won't let it show, but I'm going to continue reading for as long as they permit me to read. You see. Yes. So the Federal Reserve is not the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not the federal government. The Federal Reserve is simply a body of Jewish bankers, the people who own the banks. That's what the Federal Reserve is. It's not the federal government, you see. Not the federal government, right? Now, okay, so they established the Bank of England. Who did it? The Jews. The Jews did it. Okay, A.N. Field, okay, in his book. Okay, now, 1694, the deceptively named Bank of England is founded. It is deceptively named as it gives the impression it is controlled by the government of England, when in fact it is a private institution founded by Jews, founded by Yids. In his book, The Breakdown of Money, published in 1934, Christopher Hollis explains the formation of the Bank of England as follows. Go on to die a poor man, outcast by his associates. Well, now, it doesn't have all the quotes here, okay? But go on to die as poor man, outcast of his associates. Okay, let's go to um, let me go to 1698. Following 4 years of the Bank of England, the Jewish control of the British money supply had come on in leaps and bounds. They had flooded the country with so much money that the government debt to the bank had grown from its initial 1.125 million to 16 million pounds in only 4 years, an increase of 1,280%. So this is about making the government indebted, okay? Same thing in America. The government is indebted. To who? The Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is not the Federal Reserve. Why do they do this? Simple. If the money in circulation is in a country is 5 million pounds, and a central bank is set up and prints another 15 million pounds, stage one of the plan, and sends that out into the economy through loans, etc., then this will naturally reduce the value of the initial 5 million pounds that was in circulation before the bank was formed. That's right. Anything that you have too much of, what happens? The value falls, right? This is because the initial 5 million pound that was in circulation before the bank was formed. This is because the initial 5 million pounds that was 100% of the economy is now only 25% of the economy. It will also give the bank control of 75% of the money in circulation with the 15 million pound they sent out into the economy. You see that? This causes inflation, which is simply the reduction in worth of money borne by the common person due to the economy being flooded with too much money, an economy which the central bank are responsible for. As the common person's money is worth less, he has to go to the bank to get a loan to help him run his business, etc. And when the central bank are satisfied there are enough people with debt out there, the bank will tighten the supply of money by not offering loans. This is stage 2 of the plan. Stage 3 is sitting back and waiting for the people in debt to them to go bankrupt. Allowing the bank to then seize from them real wealth, businesses and property, etc., for pennies on the pound. Inflation never affects the central bank. In fact, they are the only group who can benefit from it, as if they are ever short of money, they can simply print more. You see, they just print money out of nothing, you see. On February 23rd, Mayor Amschel Baher, an Ashkenazi Jew in 1744, is born in Frankfurt, Germany, the son of Moses Amschel, stolen identity we're dealing with here, Masha Baher, a money lender and the proprietor of a counting house. Moses Amschel Baher places a red sign above the entrance door of his counting house. There's a clothing store with their symbol on there. I forget the name of it now. The sign is a red hexagram that geometrically and numerically translate into the number 666, which on the Rothschild instruction will end up on the Israeli flag some 2 centuries later. Rothschild, the richest, probably the richest man, and he's a banker, Jewish banker, who ever lived. Owned New York and many other things. Mayor Amschel Rothschild draws up plans in 1770 for the creation of the Illuminati and then trusts Ashkenazi Jew Adam Weishaupt, a crypto Jew, a Jew who pretends he is not Jewish, who is outwardly Roman Catholic, with its organization and development. The Illuminati, it is to be based upon the teachings of the Talmud, which is in turn the teachings of rabbinical Jews. It is to be called the Illuminati, which is a Luciferian term, which means keepers of the light. On August 29th, Mayor Amschel Rothschild marries Guttel Schnapper. 1771, on August 20th, Schnosche Jeanette Rothschild is born, the first Mayor Amschel Rothschild's first of their 5 daughters. She goes on to marry Benedict Moses Worms. 1773, on June 12, Amschel Mayer Rothschild is born, the first of Mayer Amschel Rothschild's 5 sons. He, like all his brothers who follow him, will enter the family business at the age of 12. On September 9th, Solomon Mayer Rothschild is born, 1774. In 1776, Adam Weishaupt officially completes his organization of the Illuminati on May 1st of this year. The purpose of the Illuminati is to divide the non-Jews through political, economic, social, and religious means. The plan is for the opposing sides of the Goyim, as they say, non-Jews, to be armed, whilst incidents are to be provided in order for them to fight amongst themselves, destroy national governments, destroy religious institutions, and eventually destroy each other. Weishaupt soon infiltrates the Continental Order of Freemasons with his Illuminati, blah, 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 blah. They're powerless folks, really, at the end of the day. All right, let me read a little bit more, because all of this is about finances, okay? Weishaupt also recruits 2,000 paid followers, including the most intelligent men in the field of arts and letters, education, science, finance, and industry. They are instructed to follow the following methods in order to control people: use monetary and sex bribery to obtain control of men already in high places in the various levels of all governments and other fields of endeavor. Once influential persons have fallen for the lies, deceits, and temptations of the Illuminati, they are to be held in bondage by application of political and other forms of blackmail, threats, and financial ruin, public exposure and fiscal harm, even death to themselves and members of their family. There were no limits. There is no limit. All right. 1777, on September 16th, Nathan Mayer Rothschild is born. 1781, on July 2nd, Isabella Rothschild is born. 1784, on August 29th, Babette Rothschild is born. Adam Weishaupt issues his order for the French Revolution to be started by Maximilien Robespierre in book form. This book is written by one Weishaupt's associates, Javier Zwack, and sent by courier from Frankfurt to Paris. However, en route there, the courier is struck by lightning. The book detailing his plan discovered by the police and handed over to the Bavarian authorities. As a consequence, the Bavarian government orders the police to raid Weishaupt's Masonic lodges of the Grand Orient and homes of his most influential associates. Clearly, the Bavarian authorities were convinced that the book that was discovered was a very real threat by a private group of influential people who planned the use of wars and revolutions to achieve their political ends. Can't talk about banking without talking about wars. Okay, I want to jump down a little bit further. I want to really let me move up a little bit. I don't want to skip, because it's been a while since I look at this, so I don't want to skip over. All of this all plays out. It's a timeline leading up to where we are, you see, but I don't want to read the whole thing, but I don't want to miss out anything that should be noted. But let me just, for the sake of time, let me try to scan through here. Okay, in 1811, the charter for the Rothschild Bank of the United States runs out and Congress votes against its renewal. Actually go back up a little bit. However, the United States stands firm and the charter is not renewed, which causes Nathan Mayer Rothschild to issue another threat in which he states, "Teach those impudent Americans a lesson, bring them back to colonial status." Hey, you see, a bank, that's how much power the bank has. That this man can say that. Teach them a lesson, bring them back to colonial status. Backed by Rothschild money, and Nathan Mayer Rothschild ordered the British declare war on the United States. The Rothschilds' plan is to cause the United States to build up such a debt in fighting this war that they have no option but to surrender to the British and allow the charter for the Rothschild-owned First Bank of the United States to be renewed. However, as the British are still busy fighting Napoleon, they are unable to mount such an assault, and the war ends in 1814 with America undefeated. On September 19th, Mayor Amschel Rothschild dies. In his will, he lays out specific laws that the House of Rothschild are to follow. All key positions in the family business are only to be held by family members. Only male members of the family are allowed to participate in the family business. This included a reported six secret bastard son. It is important to note here that Mayor Amschel Rothschild has had 5 daughters. So today, the spread of the Rothschild dynasty without the Rothschild name is far and wide, and Jews believe the mixed offspring of a Jewish mother is solely Jewish. All right, let's jump down here some more. A lot of stuff mixed in. 1814, with regard to the $3 million Prince William the Ninth of Hesse-Hanau had entrusted to Mayor Amschel Rothschild. Imagine at this time, $3 million in 1814, a whole lot of money today. Rothschild for safekeeping the Jewish Encyclopedia. Who owns the printing presses, controls the minds of the people. Volume 10, page 494 gives the following account of where it ended up. According to legend, this money was hidden away in wine cask and escaping the search of Napoleon's soldiery when they entered Frankfurt was reported intact in the same cat. By the way, do you know that just recently they found a whole train full? It was either earlier this year or last year of Jewish gold in Germany. Whole train load of gold. Okay. 50 cents on the dollar there. Okay, so here we go. Furthermore, on the stolen money, Nathan made no less than four profits on the sale of Wellington's paper, which he bought at 50 cents on the dollar and collected par, on the sale of gold to Wellington, on its repurchase, on forwarding in Portugal. I'm trying to skip up. There are some things there that I want you to bring us up to today. But then when you skip over, you kind of miss some of the stuff also, the connections. All right, let's see. Kalman Karl Mayer Rothschild is sent to Naples in 1821, Italy. He goes on to do a great deal of business with the Vatican, and Pope Gregory the 16th subsequently confers upon him the Order of St. George. Also, whenever the Pope receives Kalman, he gives him his hand rather than the customary toe to kiss, which causes concern with regard to the extent of Kalman Rothschild's power over the Vatican. The beast goes back a ways. Emperor of Austria, Francis I, and Austria, that's Jewish home. Okay, Rothschild brothers, barons. The barons we're talking about now, Nathan Mayer Rothschild chooses not to take up the title. 1823, the Rothschilds take over the financial operations of the Catholic Church worldwide. 1827, Sir Walter Scott publishes his 9-volume set, The Life of Napoleon, and in volume 2, he states that the French Revolution was planned by the Illuminati and financed by the money changers of Europe. Now, this is a lot to cover, and it's a lot to cover, family. I'm just going to scroll down so you can't see any of it anyway. You can't see any of it. So, anyway, this is the banking system, the creation of the banking system. And there's just a whole lot here. You can look up the link and read it for yourself as time permits. But I don't believe then that as you look at the history of the banking system, the people who created it, who runs it and manipulate it, then it's no coincidence too that we see even how Yahuah, as he speak about this, from the perspective of prey and hunter and the hunted, so on and so forth. So we've got to be careful of debt. We've got to be careful of debt, bottom line. Okay. And that's the reason why I wanted to share some of that. Okay. Now, let me go back to, let me go back. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and see if I could get the screen back. Let me see. Screen is black, and if I go out, then it's going to knock everybody off. Just going to try to keep going. Oh, it came back. Yeah, it came back. I'm no longer showing the book, so it comes back. Amazing. All right. Okay. Now, family, am I still on YouTube? Let me just check. Okay. Yes. All right. Now, okay. Yeah, well, they do it boldly, They do it because they just feel like we're going to do it and you can't do anything about it. That's what they do, you see. Yes, indeed, Aki. We still have the word. Absolutely. Well, sometimes they cut us off too. Sometimes they make it impossible to share the word too, Anyway, we're going to go back over to Mashali, Proverbs chapter 6. So let me get back over there. Let me get rid of the book for now. Give them a little peace. Let's see. Let's go back to the book of Proverbs, Mashali, chapter 6. All right. Bottom line is, as Akut Kaz says, she says she only buy what's necessary. You see, we got to stop being consumers. It's not a compliment. It's a disgrace. Okay. It's not a compliment. It's a disgrace. We don't have to have the newest everything. We don't have to have the prettiest everything. We don't, as a matter of fact, oftentimes what's prettiest in the eyes of the wicked is what's most ugly in the eyes of Yahuah. You see. Now he says, give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hunter's hand, and like a bird from the hand of the trapper. Go to the ant, you lazy one. See her ways and be wise. We talked about this last week, laziness, and how procrastination plays right into laziness. Procrastination makes laziness worse. It feeds laziness. And so it's important not to put off for tomorrow what can be done today, not to procrastinate, right? We hinder ourselves when we procrastinate. And sometimes we just got to make ourselves do what self don't want to do. Now, so he said, go to the ant, you lazy one, see her ways and be wise, which having no commander, overseer, or ruler. Even us, family, in our captivity, simply because we are in bondage don't mean we just roll over and do nothing. As a people, we still should strive to make something of ourselves in as much as we can. It will never be like it will be in our nation. But we don't have to just lay around and depend upon them for everything, you see. We need to learn to build ourselves up, because they're not going to do it. They'll only entrap us. They give you with one hand and they take with five. You see, they're literally like spiders. Somehow they got about 6 fangs. They stretch forth one, clothed in a glove, so you don't see the real nature of it. And here it is, they give you with one, and while you're busy looking at the one clothed in the glove, you have 5 more working behind taking what you already have. And here it is, you went over to get something out of the one, you turn back around and everything that you had is gone. And you don't even realize that the same one that gave you with the one hand, with the other five, he took everything else that you had. At the end of the day, he gave you absolutely nothing. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Absolutely acute. They study us. They know every minute detail about us. You see, they know our behaviors. Believe me, they study us. They know everything about you. They know your eating habits. They know your sleeping habits. They know your shopping habits. They know everything about you. You see, absolutely. Now, so going back, let me see if I can get the text on the screen. See if I can get the text on the screen. Hope you can see that, family. Let me know if you can. Okay, Tuda. So he said, go to the end, you lazy one, see her ways and be wise, which have no commander, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer, gathers her food in the harvest. How long would you lie down, O lazy one? When do you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to lie down, and your poverty shall come like a prowler, and your need as an armed man. Your need, getting ready to knock you over the head. Your need, poverty, come upon you like a prowler, and your need as an armed man. A man of Belial, a man of disobedience, a man of obstinance. What is it? Stubbornness. An obstinate man. I think that's the word I'm looking for. To be stubborn. Walks with a perverse mouth. A stubborn man walks with a perverse mouth. Winks with the eyes, shuffles with the feet, points with the finger. A man of Belial. A man of disobedience. Walks with a perverse mouth. You see people running around with perversion spewing out of their mouth. They can't talk without the profanity and perverseness, twisting everything, lying about everything. That's a man of wickedness. That's a man of disobedience. Even for people who you see them using the name Yahuah, but at the same time they're cursing. He walks with a perverse mouth. The man who winks with the eye, shuffles his feet, he a dancer. Can't pin him down, he a dancer. Don't trust the dancer. Trying to have a conversation with him, and you can't get nowhere because the only thing he keep doing is dancing. Don't trust him. Don't trust the dancer. You see. Points with his fingers. Perverseness is in his heart, plotting evil at all times. He sends out strife. Therefore his calamity comes suddenly. Instantly he is broken and there is no healing. Now, family, the wicked, his calamity comes suddenly does not mean immediately. Suddenly does not mean immediately. A lot of times as a people, we can be frustrated. I've seen our people express much frustration when we see the wicked continue to get away with their wickedness on and on. But suddenly does not mean immediately. And because The scriptures doesn't say immediately. It says suddenly. You see? It is important for us to understand that when it comes, when judgment comes, it's going to take the wicked by surprise. But when he does his wickedness, judgment isn't going to come, and destruction is not going to come immediately. He's going to get even more comfortable in his wickedness. You see? But then destruction is going to come upon him suddenly. We talk about the Roman emperor and how the Roman emperor lasted for a long time. And they felt and they thought that they were going to be the greatest emperor ever and that they will reign forever. Long live the king. But suddenly, unexpectedly, that's right, destruction came. Not immediately, but unexpectedly. Yes, indeed. You listen to these politicians as they run for office. Listen to them talk. Listen to their pridefulness about the resilience of America and how America is here forever and all and on and on. Every emperor have said it, every emperor have thought it, and every emperor have been wrong. Every emperor have said it, every emperor have thought it, and every emperor have been wrong. Every one of them. And the scriptures tells us they would be wrong. So what has changed concerning this emperor? Not a thing. Because his destruction will also come upon him unexpectedly. Yep, absolutely, Akut. Absolutely. Now they're messing with us because I know you didn't put that stuff there, Akut. Or maybe you did. I'm not sure. Let me see. Let me see if I can take a look at that. Sometimes they do that. You type stuff in and then they attach stuff to it. When they're messing with us, they'll do that. They are still our slaves. Very enlightening article. You know, let me see if I can make this bigger. And I hope that the room can see it. I'm going to try to read it. Let's see. Okay, Akut Jeanette just shared it with us. I'm going to try to read it from this article here, family. So, they are still our slaves. Very enlightening article. Think about it. For those of you who heard it, this is the article D. Lee was reading on a New York radio station. For those of you who didn't hear it, this is very deep. This is a heavy piece, and the Caucasian wrote it. They are still our slaves. We can continue to reap profits from the blacks without the effort of physical slavery. Look at the current methods of containment that they use on themselves: ignorance, greed, and selfishness. Their ignorance is the primary weapon of containment. A great man once said, "The best way to hide something from black people is to put it in a book." We now live in the information age. They have gained the opportunity to read any book on any subject through the efforts of their fight for freedom. Yet they refuse to read. There are numerous books readily available at Borders, Barnes& and Nobles, and Amazon.com. Not to mention their own black bookstores that provide solid blueprints to reach economic equality, which should have been their fight all along. But few read consistently, if at all. Greed is another powerful weapon of containment. Blacks, since the abolition of slavery, have had large amounts of money at their disposal. Last year, they spent $10 billion during Christmas out of their $450 billion in total yearly income. 2.22% of the economy is what I'm thinking that is. Any of us can use them as our target market for any business venture we care to dream up. No matter how, my wife and I was just talking about this yesterday, no matter how outlandish, they will buy it into it. Being primarily a consumer people, they function totally by greed. They continually want more with little thought for saving or investing. This can't be no more true, I must admit. They would rather buy some new sneakers than invest in starting a business. I just said it, and I've had this conversation with my own children. Some even neglect their children to have the latest Tommy or Fubu, and they still think that having a Mercedes and a big house gives them status or that they have achieved their dream. They are fools. The vast majority of their people are still in poverty because their greed holds them back from collectively making better communities. Collectively making better communities. With the help of BET and the rest of their black media that often broadcast destructive images into their own homes, we will continue to see huge profits like those of Tommy and Nike. Tommy Hilfiger has even jeered them, saying he doesn't want their money. And look at how the fools spend more with him than ever before. They'll continue to show off to each other while we build solid communities with the profits from our businesses that we market to them. Selfishness, ingrained in their minds through slavery, is one of the major ways we can continue to contain them. One of their own, Du Bois, said that there was an innate division in their culture. Talented tent, he called it. He was correct in his deduction that there are segments of their culture that has achieved some form of success. However, that segment missed the fullness of his work. They didn't read that the talented tent was then responsible to aid the non-talented 90% in achieving a better life. Instead, that segment was created another class, Boopy class, that looks down on their people or aids them in a condescending manner. They will never achieve what we have. Their selfishness does not allow them to be able to work together on any project or endeavor of substance. When they do get together, their selfishness lets their egos get in the way of their goal. Their so-called help organizations seem to only want to promote their name without making any real change in their community. They are content to sit in conferences and conventions in our hotels and talk about what they will do, while they award plaques to the best speakers, not to the best doers. Is there no end to their selfishness? They steadfastly refuse to see that together each achieve more, teamwork. They do not understand that they are no better than each other because of what they own. As a matter of fact, most of those buppies are but 1 or 2 paychecks away from poverty, all of which is under the control of our pens in our offices and our rooms. Yes, we will continue to contain them as long as they refuse to read, continue to buy anything they want, and keep thinking they are helping their communities by paying dues to organizations which do little other than hold lavish conventions in our hotels. By the way, don't worry about any of them reading this letter. Remember, they don't read. Now that you have read this, I want to get an ongoing discussion on the topic. I want everyone who reads this to post your opinion of this letter. Do you feel that this is true? If so, in what ways? How can us as a black race get away from these stereotypes or accusations that are raised within this text? The evidence is provided in this letter. Did this letter take you aback as it did to me? Let me know what you think. Tell your friend to read this also. Remember that in order to have progress, you must address the issues pertaining to your people. So please keep this in mind and educate your friends. And most importantly, educate yourselves. Garrett L. Sawyer, content editor for Pride Magazine. Wow. Wow. Amazing and very true. The same thing that we have been talking about as we reflect on Mashali chapter 6 and the verses that speak about laziness and poverty and banking, as we have discussed. Yes, indeed, that's where it begins. Because it is Yahuah that gives wisdom. And when you're ignorant to Yahuah, then you're ignorant to everything else. Be rightfully so, because Yahuah says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And the ignorance, my people are destroyed because of their ignorance. And the ignorance begins with ignorance of their creator. If you're ignorant to your creator, you're ignorant to your history, you're ignorant to your purpose. You're ignorant to what you're supposed to be doing. You're ignorant to everything. Well, absolutely, that's where it begins. I cannot help but to agree with what was written, because it is true. Before we read that, and I want to say to Akut, Jeanette, for posting it. Some people might read that and get angry and only critique it, only criticize it. But that's not the way I take it. Where truth is spoken, I've got to agree. So even though they might, yes, right, even though they might see it as ridicule, listen, family, we've got to be able to take criticism, and our people don't do well with criticism. When you criticize them, where it should help them, they get angry, and guess what? Get worse. They get worse. That's stupidity. That is ignorance at its best. That is foolish. That is folly. And as we continue here in the book of Mashali, it's going to tell you about that. You know what it calls people like that? Yahuah called them fools. You cannot critique a fool. And in some cases, Yahuah warns you not to critique the fool, because it could cost you your very life. Because what's supposed to be of help to the foolish person instead becomes offensive. And they respond in their folly. And so Yahuah says, it is better to run into a bear robbed of her cubs. I hope I said that right. I don't mean the one you drink. It's better to run into a bear robbed of her cubs than to offer correction to a fool. Now you know that when a bear loses her cubs, that's a dangerous situation. Yahuah says it's better to run into one robbed of her cubs than to offer correction to a fool. Our people got to wake up. Our people got to stop being so prideful, stop being so petty, stop being so foolish, and yes, be willing to put in some hard work. Yes, indeed. That's right, Aki. That's right. But yet there's a remnant. That's right. It's unfortunate that there's only a remnant. But yes, there will be a remnant. That's right, Aki. Those who will not bow the knee to Baal. Yes. Yes, absolutely, Akut Jeanette. Absolutely. Akut Jeanette wrote, you have a better chance of getting away from that bear, but however, a person of ignorance and without wisdom will drag a whole lot of people with no shame and nothing. Yes, indeed. That's why we continue to cry out. But you see, it begins, family, one cannot receive knowledge without humility. Our people got to begin to humble themselves. We got to begin to humble ourselves as a people. We can't, we as a people, we, Yasharal, we got to humble ourselves. We got to humble ourselves. Because when we fail to humble ourselves, we only hinder ourselves. And even in the simplest little thing, we got to humble ourselves. Even in the simplest little things, we need to humble ourselves. Yahusha said, a little child shall lead them. A little child shall lead them. That's his elect. A humbled one. We got to be so humble that we can receive correction even from our children. You know, how many of us know that it's difficult for us to receive correction from our children? Our children might be right, but we grow up in a culture where we have determined wisdom based on age, and that's a false perception. That's a false conception. You see grown people, and sometimes their children might be telling them right, but simply because they're children, they won't listen. And they don't recognize that that is pride. We don't recognize that to be pride. We think that because we're the parent, then automatically we know better than the child. And sometimes, if we just would be a little bit slower to respond. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to use myself. My son, Kalab and Shah, they were up in their room one day and they were playing. And both of them accidentally butted heads together. Now I know that Shah, who is the youngest one, he likes to hit. He'll raise up and he'll smack his brother real quick. He'll fight his brother. And his brother, on the other hand, though, his brother don't want to fight him. He's bigger than him. He's older than him and could easily defeat him. Remind me of me and my brother. But he don't want to fight him. He just always want to look out for him and take care of him. But the younger one, he want to raise up and he'll fight him. Well, one day, Shath, the younger one, came down crying. And Kalab was crying. Now, Shath, if he hits Kalab, even when he's the one that do the hitting, he'll come crying. And so this day when he came crying, and I saw Kalab crying, Shath was trying to tell me what happened, but I wasn't understanding him. And I just automatically assumed that he had hit Kalab. And he had hit him pretty good because Kalab was really crying. And so I got him and I went to town spanking him. And then I finally realized, because I was asking Kalab what happened, he couldn't tell me he was crying so hard. But then finally when it came out, it was Kalab. They were just playing and they bumped heads. And family, I felt extremely terrible. I felt extremely terrible. I picked him up, Shath, and I hugged him and I apologized, and I couldn't express my regret enough. And my thought was, if I was just a little bit more slow and try to listen to him a little bit more and not assume. Now I'm assuming based on what I know his normal behavior is, but I was wrong. And I wasn't interested in listening to him because I had already written him off. So if I was just a little bit more slow to anger, if I was a little bit more willing to listen, then I would not have spanked him unnecessarily. So what happened there? Not only was he hurting from bumping his head into his brother's head, but now I gave him a spanking on top of it. And I felt terrible. And what I said, what I vowed to myself is, I need to listen more. I need to listen more. Even to a child, I need to listen more. That's what came out of that for me. I need to listen more. You need to really get an understanding of what is being said, what is being communicated before you act and respond. That's what I got out of that. We need to listen more. We need to seek out an understanding before we act and before we respond. Because in the end, if we fail to do so, we're only hurting ourselves. And no, we're not just hurting ourselves, but we're going to hurt others. We're going to hurt others in the process also. It's never just about ourselves. We're going to hurt others in the process. We're going to hurt a nation in the process. You see, so it begins with humility. It begins with making the choice not to be ignorant. When we make the choice not to be ignorant, we're making a decision to search and then to act based upon what we've learned. Yes, indeed. Like to gather us like a hen gather her chick, but we would not. Too prideful, too puffed up, too stiff-necked. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Akut Jeanette. Yes, indeed. Aki Keenan says, I have family members who are professionals and some who are not. However, they can research what the wicked is, but when it comes to researching the truth about our Creator, they dismiss the truth, and they have gotten even more bold, yes, proclaiming Baal. Yes, indeed. And the J-Man. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Ignorance in at its highest form, Aki. Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. I can relate. I have family just like that. Yes, indeed. The wise will be as fools. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now I'm going to read on here a little bit more from the book of Mashali, chapter 6, family. We're going to prepare to close out here very shortly. Verse 15. There is calamity. Therefore, okay, so perverseness is in his heart. The man who winks with the eye, shuffles with his feet, points with his fingers, is perverse with his mouth. Right? Therefore, his calamity comes suddenly. Instantly, he is broken, and there is no healing. These 6 matters Yahuah hates, and 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands shedding innocent blood. Hands shedding innocent blood. A heart devising wicked schemes, feet quick to run to evil, a false witness breathing out lies, and one who causes strife among brothers. My son, watch over your father's command, and do not forsake the Torah of your mother. Bind them on your heart always, tie them around your neck. When you are walking about, it leads you. When you lie down, it guards you. And when you have woken up, it talks to you. Now, of course, the instructions here concerning the instructions of your father and your mother, it's not the instructions of a father and mother that are not living in accordance with the instructions of Yahuah. But if father and mother is living in according to the instructions of Yahuah, then they're only going to instruct you, my son, in wisdom. And when they instruct you in wisdom, you have a responsibility to walk in obedience, because the Torah tells us that the child who disobeys father and mother, who is instructing him or her according to the Torah of Yahuah, that child actually cuts their life short. So Yahuah said, bind them on your heart always, tie them around your neck. When you are walking about, it leads you. When you lie down, it guards you. And when you have woken up, it talks to you. For the command is a lamp, and the Torah is a light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life. Halahu Yahuah. To guard you against the evil women from the flattering tongue of a strange woman. Yes, indeed. When you're, as children, when your parents warn you about women who are promiscuous, women who are flattering, women who they're advertisers. What they advertise to you, they advertise to the world, and what they have should be only for you. But if they're showing it to the entire world, then it's not just for you. It's a clue that she is not just yours. To guard you against an evil woman from the flattering tongue of a strange woman. Do not desire her prettiness in your heart. It's not all about looks. Sometimes the prettiest ones give you the biggest broken hearts. Same goes for the man. It's not about how handsome he is. It's about his character. It's about her character. It's about honesty, humility, and virtue. It's about a love for Yahuah. For because of a whore, one is brought to a crust of bread. And adulteress hunts a precious life. I'm just going to use an example here, not of Yasharal, but I can think of a situation. I remember a situation a few years back. Happened here, was in Philadelphia. was in Philadelphia, and there was this man. He was somebody very prominent, very famous, very well known. I don't remember exactly who he is now. But this man who had a whole lot going for himself, he got caught up because of this go-go dancer in a nightclub. She was very attractive, very appealing, and he desired a relationship with her so bad that he was willing to go and to kill his wife to let her know how serious he was about making a commitment to her. He spent a whole lot of money on her. In the end, he even killed his wife trying to prove himself to her. And in the end, this man, very prominent, quite famous, in the end, where he end up in prison without nothing. A man who had something. This woman, this harlot, drove him broke. You see, this harlot drove him broke. Don't desire her prettiness in your heart, neither let her captivate you with her eyelids. For because of a whore, one is brought to a crust of bread. So you see, family, now we talk about being consumers. But how about men? Men, how about when we make the mistake of getting too hung up in a woman's beauty, a gold digger? Women who oftentimes might mean us no good. Beauty ain't all to it. Curves ain't all to it. She got to have character. And sometimes she might not have the curves. She might not have the kind of beauty that somebody else have. But she has what matters. Now, of course, let me make it clear that I'm not saying that I have the kind of looks or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I want to make it clear. And often, sometimes we can think of ourselves as the most handsome or the most prettiest or most beautiful. And that's not necessarily the case. But either way, beauty is fleeting. That's not what's most important. Yes, indeed. Do not desire her prettiness in your heart. Okay, we read that. For because of a whore, one is brought to a crust of bread, and an adulteress hunts a precious life. An adulteress hunts a precious life. Would a man take fire in his bosom to his bosom, and his garments not be burnt? Excuse me. Would a man walk on hot coals and his feet not be scorched? Remind me of that thing with that motivational speaker the other day. Had a bunch of people walking on hot coals and got burnt up. So is he who goes in his neighbor's wife, into his neighbor's wife. None who touches her goes unpunished. They do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his appetite. Do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his appetite when he is starving. Yet, if he is caught, he repays sevenfold. He gives all the wealth of his house. So do not despise a thief who steals to satisfy his appetite. Steal out of necessity. Don't hate him. because he steals out of necessity. But if he is caught, he must repay sevenfold. He who commits adultery with a woman lacks heart. He who does it destroys his own flesh. He finds smiting and shame, and his reproach is not wiped away. For jealousy enrages a man, and he does not spare in the day of vengeance. He does not regard any ransom, nor accept your bribe, however great. What he is saying is, you go into another man's wife, he don't want to hear nothing. You can't pay him off. You cannot satisfy his anger. The only thing he's going to want to do is to hurt you. Stick to your own woman. Stick to your own man, is what he is saying. Well, family, we're going to stop here for this evening. We look forward to getting into chapter 7 of Mashali. It is my hope that our study here today has been a barakah to you all. And I'm going to open up the microphone to any comments or questions here, family. Not that one either.
Aki.
Yes, go ahead, Aki.
Yeah, just another awesome lesson study.
Praise Yahuah.
God praise Yahuah.
Hallelujah.
I had my Shah and my son here with me.
Praise Father. And I want to say Shabbat Shalom to your Asha, Aki. I've never had the opportunity of speaking to her. So let me just say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut. And of course to your bond there also, Aki.
Well, at this time they're not here.
Okay, got you. Yes.
I appreciate it.
Yes, yeah. Indeed. Yes, indeed.
And so, we just going over to I brought her in because she's still kind of hung up with that Christianity stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She knows Yahuah. She knows, and I'm trying to get her because I remember when I first came on board with the Mishpakat.
Yeah.
And when I confronted you when I was saying Yahusha,
mm-hmm.
it showed me that's not it.
Mm-hmm.
That Yahusha, the Shua means to cry out, and the Shah means to deliver.
Yes.
So, and I seen that, and so I was trying to point that out to my Shah, and she kind of, oh, there you go again. Yeah, you always come on and changing up. And so I said, look, I said, hold up.
Yeah,
I said, we don't arrive at the truth. We grow into it. I said,
mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get her to understand, look, Yahuah is just waking us up right now.
That's right.
And we gotta, we so far behind the curve, First he said, we not under no curses and all that. Yeah, as a nation we are.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I when I, the first part, I wanted you to explain to her, and how, we may have free reign
yes.
in captivity,
yes,
as long as we stay within that left and right boundary,
mm-hmm.
of this bondage land that we in.
Yes.
So, and exactly, that's right. First time, we step out of line of their boundaries, mm-hmm. They're going to let us know just how much. Yeah, you think you free. Let me show you right here.
That's right.
What's going on? And time and time, the examples are given to us. Like the Bill Cosby thing, mm-hmm. and his other O.J. Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. And a lot of it, we bring it on to ourselves. Like, and I was mentioning to you about the original contract we had, and once Yahusha, son of Nun,
mm-hmm.
Started divvying up the land,
mm-hmm.
we got complacent, didn't want to continue to eradicate the people that were in there that Yahuah told us to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
No, we want to sit back and I ain't fighting no more. I got my land. I'm gonna grow me some olives and some doggone onions and cucumbers and so forth like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fight. No, we got silly.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And so, and then at that point, they go to black on black. We start fighting amongst ourselves over nothing.
Absolutely.
And I was reading it. Like I said, I didn't see that when I was in that Babylonian mindset.
Right.
As soon as Yahuah woke me up, you got to read the scriptures all over again.
Yes, indeed.
Because Yahuah give you a newness in our mindset, and he's got to reveal the truth to us that we, like the scripture said, Hashatan had deceived the whole world. And the foolishness of Christianity, they just ignore that and don't even ask the question, in what sense and in what manner has he deceived the whole world? Yes. Do y'all even ask that question, man? Right. That's what I say to members, friends, and family members, and they look at me and a blank stare, like the deer in the headlight, and yes, they got nothing to say.
Indeed.
And then I tell them, the fact that I said, and then I point out to them, man, I tell you, man, the scripture. I said, you guys believe that Christianity. I said, some things are just so, it's just common sense. It's just right there, blatant in our face, but yet we choose to ignore it. And, they go around hollering at J man, and then you tell them that J letter wasn't even in the English alphabet until about the 1800s or something is when it came along.
Yeah, that's when it became real popular. It started out around, they started experimenting with it about 800 years ago, but didn't become real popular till around 600 years ago.
And well, it was sure enough wasn't in their first published Bible, 1611. It wasn't there.
Absolutely. Now they had a version before that. I forget which one it was that came before the 1611, where they actually used it in there. But then by the time it came to 1611, they took it back out again because they weren't comfortable with it.
I think it was the 1538 or something.
Yeah, the Wycliffe translation or something. It said.
Yeah. But she's. I remember you were saying that as long as there's not, heartache, and, she's coming along, and I'm getting my son. I gotta, sometimes, when we say let's pray for our family members and pray for, we got Bernice and Jeremy Yahuah, and who else we got that we want to pray for?
Akut Yariyah. And Anaya. Yeah.
And when it comes to me and praying, I don't know if I think I don't know how to pray the way I really need to pray. In my mind, I may come to Yahuah in my mind praying, but when I try to speak out of my mouth, I'm just tongue tied.
Yeah. But Aki, but that's all right. I'm glad you brought that up because we're seeing in the writings also where prayer is not just merely limited to what's uttered out of your mouth, but sometimes even when you can't get words out, even in a groan, Yahuah knows the cry of that groan, and so even when Yahuah is not limited to just hearing our verbal voice, but all Yahuwah also hears the cry of the people. You know, when the people in Matzrayim were in captivity, the scripture said that Yahuwah heard their cry. When we study the text, they weren't crying out to Yahuwah. They were just groaning under oppression. Yahuwah heard their cry. And Yahuwah said, that's my people. I know what bothers them. I know what their desires are. Yahuwah respond to that cry. So you might be in a place right now, Aki, where you find it's not so easy to verbalize it, but yet it's in there, and and you know what's being communicated within you and in your heart. And then at the same time, Yahuwah knows that also. He feels that, he knows that, and he responds to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
Praise Yahuwah.
Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Aki. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that in.
No, it's okay to interject. You know, that's the whole purpose.
Praise Yahuwah.
So, yeah, and so, you know, she understand I got my fellowship here, and we really don't have no set time limit. You start at a certain time, and then Yahuwah just had you go until he sees fit that it's time to close out.
Yes.
And so I you know, you just know in your inner man, your ruach, you know when Yahuwah is really doing something.
Yes. Yeah.
You can you can tell.
Yes.
And you know, I really do appreciate you, Aki, and what you do, and how Yahuwah has really, you know, anointed you.
Praise Yahuwah.
Gave you the set you apart. Anointed, I don't even like that word no more.
Yes, I understand.
And you know, he's giving you that skill set to really untangle the deceit and lies of Christianity.
Praise Father.
You know,
yeah.
I really do appreciate you, Aki. I really do. You're Bishop Haykal.
Praise Father, Aki. Praise Yahuwah. And I want you to know that I appreciate you also, Aki. I appreciate you. I appreciate the family who have a desire for, truly, a pure desire for Yahuwah, a pure desire for his word, because it makes what I do so much easier. You know, there have been times when I come to this fellowship, not with the individuals that are a part of the fellowship now, but we have had people in this fellowship who I come here to go over a lesson, and it's hard getting to the lesson because people come with an agenda, you know, and they want to argue over stuff, and I just want to go to the word and let's walk through the word. And if there's a discrepancy, and say, okay, let's search it out, and then you think that, okay, we can reason and search it out, and you realize they don't want to do that. They just want to argue and create chaos, you know. And so I appreciate you. I appreciate the family that's a part of this fellowship greatly, really, really do, because over the years I've seen a lot of stuff that man, if Yahuwah wasn't pushing me and driving me to do this, I would have given up a long time ago. And a lot of the people who have come along and tried to strive and fight and create all kinds of ruckus, they have fallen off the wagon a long time ago. What was your purpose other than to detract and to distract and to try to bring despair and discouragement, you know? So I appreciate you, Aki.
Yeah, Yahuwah moved them fiends right out of the way.
Indeed he did. Indeed he did. Indeed.
Yes. Praise Yahuwah.
Praise Yahuwah. Praise Father. To that once again, Aki, to that Rabbi, and may Yahuwah just continue to barak you and to barak your house. And you know, it's a process. You know, when I started out in this with my wife, I must tell you, at the very beginning, and for a while, it was a great wrestle. Wasn't easy, but you know, again, like you say, we don't arrive at the truth, we grow in the truth, and as we grow and mature, we got to give others the opportunity to grow and mature also. Sometimes it might require us biting our tongue, gritting our teeth, doing something, you know, holding our tongue, whatever the case is, you know, but it's a process. And
you know, yeah, Key, you know, Key, and you touched on the fact that we need to listen more.
Yes.
And, you know, so my wife say a lot that that I think that I'm authoritarian on everything. Like I know, and I'm always trying to bark out something to get people to listen to my point of view. And you know, maybe, you know, I catch myself kind of like that, and I really don't listen. And you know, when I woke up this morning, I was praying, and I asked Yahuah to allow me to listen more. And I said, I'm going to see family members. My niece, she just had a baby 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
So we over there. And you know, they all Christian out.
Yeah.
And everything. And you know, I spoke to them about Yahuah and Yahusha, and I said, Yahuah, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to be quiet. I ain't talking about nothing about what the heathen is doing. I ain't going to talk about nothing about what you doing, Yahuah. I done came to them. They just dismissed me. They you know, and like I told you, they boldly speak. They boldly on this Baal and J-Man. They just just holler him out like he really going to save them. Yeah. Like, you know, blasphemy, you know, don't blaspheme his name. What you talking about? You blaspheme Yahuah, man. You don't even know what you're talking about. and you know, like, you know, they do all this research on the ways of the heathen with the schemes of the secular minded this world, what they doing, the Illuminati and so forth, and all that, and how they trying to do this, that, and another. Yeah. So, and you know, I'm guilty of, you know, seeing what they were doing. You know, we of course, you know, we pay attention to see what they doing. Right. But at the same time, I'm more paying attention to what Yahuah is doing. That's right. And what he going, you know, Yahuah's only going to allow them to do what he want them to do. Exactly. So like we, you know, like you touched on before, we give these fiends, heathens, too much credit. Absolutely. You give them too much credit. They don't know nothing. They stupid. That's right. And so, but I had a family member talk about how smart Hillary is. I said, Hillary ain't smart. I said, she a witch. Yeah, right. She's a witch. She ain't smart. She don't know nothing. She is. I said, all right, forget it. I said, you can't argue with them. You can't get your point across. And so at that point, I said, I ain't saying nothing, you know. That's right. And so that's right, Aki. Sometimes, you know, it's best to just leave them, and you know, because the more you try to reason with them, it's like the deeper they sink into folly. You know, they just kind of put up this wall and cut you off, and you can't reason at all with them. It's you know, I just had a lot in me, and I didn't, you know, I wanted to speak to somebody who are like-minded. Yeah. And I can only speak to the Mishpachah here. Praise Yahuah. And you know, because I can't even talk to my wife because she's not there yet. Right. You know, I can speak to you because we here. Yes. We're here where Yahuah has us. Yes. And I got a lot in me right now that I want to get out. Praise Yahuah. Well, we appreciate you speaking up, man, and appreciate hearing you and what you bring and how you bring it. We praise Yahuah for that, Aki. So always know that the family is here. Here to listen and here to share, always know that. Appreciate you. Praise Yahuah. I'm going to go to Aki. Yes, I'm going to go to Aki. Keith, please go ahead, Aki.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom to you, Aki. Great to hear you.
Great to hear you as always.
Praise Yahuah.
Even I listen to you on YouTube.
Praise Yah.
I meant to comment, but I'll be listening.
Okay, okay. Yes, indeed.
I just want to say, going back to this morning earlier when you was talking about the curse and how Daniel, he still was sitting in a position, although he wasn't in the land.
Uh-huh.
What I try to tell people today is, and I know they say, yeah, we're under curse. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Yahuwah has opened our eyes.
Yes.
So we're in a land of captivity under that curse.
Mm-hmm.
But the curse to prosper in the system, we still can.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would not be like it would be if we're in our homeland.
That's right.
I understand that. But at the same time, Yahuwah put people in certain positions, his people, to help his people so they can grow.
Precisely.
And so when people understand that, instead of saying, oh, I'm under this curse, I can't get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. If you under Caesar Borgia, you can't get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But if you under Yahuwah, you are already ahead of the game because he is the creator.
That's right.
So our people's downfall is, I'm talking about the ones whose eyes are open,
Mm-hmm.
is that they think too much of Christianity, meaning that they use that same lifestyle that they cannot get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so false, because even when I was a Christian, I believed no matter where I worked at, that I was going to rise to the top.
Mm-hmm.
So much more now that my eyes been open.
That's right.
Here's just a real quick short story. I went to New York Life. I had to do 4 interviews to get in. That's how hard it is to get work for that company.
Yeah.
And they do background checks all the way back to your great grandmother, make sure everything is right.
Yeah.
So the lady asked me a question. She said, "Where do you see yourself at in this company?" I said, "Oh, the CEO." She just looked at me. I said, "Why would I tell for anything less?"
That's right.
I'm not working. I'm working to be at the top.
That's right.
And that's it.
That's right.
So what I'm saying is, our people, regardless of what happened in our life, because some things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Some things we have no control over. A lot of things we really don't have control over.
That's right.
At the same time, we get up, we dust ourselves off, we talk to other who are in the house of Israel, and we listen to what they have to say, because we don't know all things.
Mm-hmm.
And we listen to it and think, okay, I can try this right here. And things work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or here's another example, like Ed, because I always say something about Ed, because Ed told me something a few years ago. He said he was in the military. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He had all these benefits. You know what? When I was in the military and got out, they never told me about the benefits.
Mm.
So now I'm about to get $3,200 a month
Yeah.
for my life every month.
Yes.
Because I listened to what he had to say.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that is like, okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to have to thank him, like, man, thank you. Because you didn't have to share this with me.
That's
Although
right.
I was in the military.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
That's right.
And so I just want your family, and we already on the top. There is nothing that can stop us.
Praise
One
you.
thing we need to do, help each other.
That's right.
With
That's
that, shalom, I keep my brother.
praise Yahuah, and to that for sharing that, to that for stating that, because a lot of our people don't understand that, and we need each other, and Yahuah uses us to help one another. You see, and so it makes natural sense that he would advance us even in our captivity. Danny, I'll open the door for his people in captivity. If he was not in the position that he was in, and you see, in order to advance, yes, Yahuah has his part that he does, but we have our part that we must play also. You see, we have to go out there. We got to be confident. We got to be hardworking, and we got to be right. You see, we must live above reproach. We must be above reproach. We have that responsibility in living in accordance with the word of Yahuah. And even when they don't like us, even when they despise us, Yahuah will move the heart of the king, the heart of the wicked, to put us in positions that they really don't want to, but then they can't help it, because not to do so is to even hurt themselves still, and they know that. You see, and then when we're put there, it is for the benefit of our people, and we can't forget that. And so that's very important for us to understand as a people. In my position, I'm in a position where I can help our people to some extent, and I look to do that. You see, I look for opportunities to do that, because wherever I can, I'm going to seek to do that, you see. And so I'm always looking for opportunities to benefit our people, because I have that responsibility, you see. So you know, praise Yahuah, and to the for sharing, Aki.
Michael.
Yes, Aki.
Yeah, I was sorry, I didn't know how to raise my flag. I didn't mean to cut the brother Keith off. I had a couple of questions, and I put a question on the side of the screen. It was probably a little bit after break. I was wondering, when you were talking about the richest people in the world, and I don't know, could you see the message over there when I wrote that down?
You know what? No, what happens is, yeah, I'm sorry, Aki. What happened, you know, what happened is when I have different things on the screen, I don't see the messages, the chat. So I have to put it in the middle of the screen. Maybe right now you can see the chat. It's like blocking the screen. I don't know if that's how it appears.
Yeah, sometimes it does block the screen, but okay, I guess I could ask my question, and I don't know if I should say them by name, but my question was, those people that are ruling the world, are those the 13 richest people in the world, which are called the Bilderbergs?
Yes, they've gone by different names.
And they hide behind the bank sector. They don't want you to know their own
exactly their names.
So they hide behind that.
Exactly.
And then my other thing I didn't know is I made a statement, I guess, and it said, well, actually, they are the ones that are running the world, and they actually tell the president what to do.
Oh yeah. Is it because? Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I might be making a misstatement by saying this. The only one that didn't go by what the Bilderbergs wanted was John F. Kennedy, and he was assassinated.
Yeah, and he did go to some extent, but then he came a point, he said, listen, this is nonsense. And that's where he made the speech to the media. And
right.
a day later, he was gone.
But everybody else, even the Bushes, all the presidents before, all of them are going through them.
Yes.
They're really letting them, they actually pick the president. We shouldn't even vote.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Aki. Absolutely.
And I just wanted to say I enjoy coming on here. I know you see DGR, but that's actually Darnell.
Okay.
And, Bernice and I have a daughter together here in California.
Oh, praise
I know
you,
Monday you said, I don't know who that DGR But I really enjoyed the lesson, and I kind of dozed off a little today. I apologize, but I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to the whole family.
Praise Yahuah. No problem, Aki. I love, as Akut Sharia just said, she loved hearing the Akeem on the mic, and I want to tell you that it's a baraka to me too. I love hearing my what I would say, my fellow lions on the mic. I love hearing my fellow lions on the mic.
All righty, thank you.
Praise Yahuah.
So I just put this mic back on, and
you just put that, click on it again, and the X will appear over it. And
okay, now how do I actually get to that flag? I'm sorry.
Okay, so there is a 3 dots toward the bottom of the screen there. I believe it's.
Now I see them.
Click on them. No problem.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Brother Keith.
All right, Keith, go ahead, Aki, and then we're gonna come to Aki Derek.
Oh, no, I was finished.
Oh, you were? Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Okay, to the Aki. All right, let me go to Aki Derek. Aki Derek, please go ahead, Aki.
Hello?
Yes, Aki, we hear you. We hear you. Shalom.
Oh, shalom. Oh, wow. I've been 2 months since I found out about Yahuah.
Oh, praise Yahuah.
And I went through 2 weeks. I went through 2 weeks of a very hardcore depression, just realizing how deep the lie was.
Wow.
And and it's the truth. It's the truth. The Ruach HaKodesh helps you to read the Bible differently. It's the absolute truth. Everything starts becoming clear because you literally take off the Greek eyeglasses and you see through Hebrew eyes, and you say, wait a minute.
Yes.
This was in front of me the whole time. It was in front of me the whole time.
Yeah. And
I started going through, and I was doing my studies again, and I was a Christian since I was 13. So I had 30 years of being a Christian and thinking that I knew the Bible.
Yes.
And you go and you say, wait a minute. And I had a revelation this week. The reason that Christianity doesn't work is because the The people of the book never believed in a religion.
Yes.
And that was their culture. It was a government. They had a king.
That's right.
It was a way of life. It was a nation of people. It was never a religion.
That's right.
And so I sat back and I was doing my studies, and I said, wow. And then I go and tell my family about it, and I got shut down. They shut me down.
Yes.
And I looked and I said, wait a minute. I was telling my mom about it, and I was like, listen, we are the only people that fit this mold. It is an empty seat. We are the only people who can sit in this seat. We have to be this people.
That's right.
We don't know who we are.
That's right.
We don't know who we are. And I'm telling my mom, and she said, and she was with me, until I told her, and Jesus is false. And she was, wait a minute, she hit the brakes.
Yes.
She hit the brakes.
Yes.
And I said, wait a minute, Mom, think about it. There was no letter J in existence 600 years ago. His name can't be Jesus. It can't be, no matter how you try to justify it. That is an obvious truth.
Yes.
And she said, and she told me, well, no, it's always going to be Jesus for me. It's always going to be Jesus for me. I said, Mom, just study. Look at it. You'll be able to find it. Just look at it. Open your eyes and look at it. And I said, you're fighting to wake up. But I realize now that it's sleepwalking. And then the high irony is that we literally become Hebrews when we come out of Christianity because we cross over.
Yes.
We literally become Hebrews when we come out of Christianity because we cross over.
Yes.
We are people called out. And I said, wait a minute. I started looking at it. I look at the curses of Deuteronomy 28. And I looked at the curses that are still sitting on my people right now. Still sitting on them right now. And everything started to make sense.
Yes.
Everything started falling into place. And I said, okay, well, if this is what's going on, if this is a result of disobedience, what's going to be the result of obedience? What's going to be the result of obedience?
That's right.
And they're the promises.
Yes.
Guard my commandments. Observe my Sabbath.
Yes.
Everything is sitting right there. But the Greek model has cracks in it.
Yes.
The Greek model has cracks in it.
Absolutely.
And it's sitting on top of the Hebrew model.
Yes.
I told my mom, it's like you read the Bible with a veil over it. Isn't that what Paul said?
That's right.
We see through a veil. We see through a veil. And then you take the veil away and everything is clear. Everything becomes clear. And that was the thing that sat in me. It was in my ruach. And I said, wait a minute. And by the time that I got to the point where I said, this has to be the truth. Yeah. This has to be the absolute truth. Yeah. But when I started, it was that revelation at first, but it was solidified in me when I started telling people. When I started telling people Yahuah, Yahusha, and I saw the responses, then it started lining up with scripture.
Yes.
Then it started lining up with scripture. It wouldn't make sense for us to be going around and yelling Jesus, 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 and the world doesn't have a problem with it. But as soon as we started saying Yahuah, Yahusha, as soon as we started pointing back at the Tetragrammaton and said, wait a minute, you took his name out 7,000 times? The name. What name? What name? When we get to a point where we sit and ask ourselves and say, okay, what's going on? What's going on? And literally, as Christians, we never realized that we were blind. We had to come out of Christianity because we were blind.
That's right.
We were blind by doctrine and dogma.
That's right.
And that was what they did. The slave masters used to sit in the churches and observe how we gave the messages to our people.
Yes, indeed.
They used to do that and make sure that we weren't going off track.
That's right.
But when they took those shackles of iron off, we were a destroyed people. We had no idea who we were, where we came from, what our language was, what language we spoke. We had no idea.
Yes.
And so just getting to the point of waking up and saying, okay, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. As soon as you start standing on that name, what scripture says will happen, happens.
That's right.
As soon as you stand on that name.
That's right.
And that is all the proof that you need. That's really all the proof that you need, because prophetically, Yah has already spoken it.
Yes, indeed.
Yah he's already said it in his word. And regardless, you cannot hide Yah. You cannot hide him.
Indeed.
And so for the whole time, it's literally telling people now who are sleepwalking. We have all of the hints, all of the tips. Hollywood has known it from the very beginning.
Yes, indeed.
From the very beginning. And I found out a couple of weeks ago that under witchcraft, the strongest wands that were made, the magic wands that they used, the strongest wands that were made came from the holly tree.
Mm. Yeah.
And the holly tree, Hollywood is based upon that holly tree.
Mm.
It is an illusion. It is a magic. It is a sorcery. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Aki, frankly, thank you. It is a sorcery that they put out there, a God spell under this gospel,
Mm-hmm.
having us illusion and blind and walking under an illusion, thinking that we are calling on the right name and being fooled. The biggest deception of ever was the identity theft of the Israelites.
Indeed.
It was the identity theft of the Israelites, and just coming into that knowledge, everything has fell away from me now. Everything has fell away from me. Everything is about Yahuah. And I have 2 more days until I have to go back to school. I've been on vacation for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And in this 3 weeks, I have been soaking up scripture.
Praise
Soaking up
Yahuah.
scripture.
Praise Yahuah.
The people in the book never called themselves Christians.
No,
Their
no,
enemies
no.
did.
That's right.
Their enemies called themselves Christians.
Yeah.
And so I sat back and was doing all of this study. And I tell people about it now, but most of the people around me are non-believers. So when I started, I came home and told my wife, listen, there is no more pork. I am not eating any more pork.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. No pork. The pork went out. I'm observing this house. I'm watching what I'm doing. I'm going back to the commandments. I'm learning about the laws. And then incorporating those things to say, okay, I know that this is how I need to walk now.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this is how I need to walk.
Mm-hmm.
We say, I was thinking about talking with my mom, and I'm thinking about talking with my mom and saying, okay, how can I bring this to her? How can I bring this to her? And saying, okay, listen, she believes as a Christian that the law is dead.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a contradiction in itself. How can the law be dead when the law only has power when you live in lawlessness?
Mm-hmm.
If you're following the Spirit, that's what the scripture says. If you're in the Ruach, if you're walking after the Ruach, you're fulfilling the law.
Mm-hmm.
The law has power when we live in lawlessness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a broken doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
No lie is part of the truth. No lie is a part of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that now when I'm on Facebook. I use this part as my main focus. No lie is part of the truth.
Okay.
If you see any paganism in your church, that is all the proof that you need to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is all the proof that you need. And so to sit there and say now, okay, we have to get to a point where we, as a people, take up the identity, the only identity that is open for us. That is an open seat. Literally, the lost tribes are an open seat, and nobody else can sit in that seat.
Mm-hmm.
And we're the only people who don't know who we are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Aki.
So how do we bypass? How do we not take the seriousness of those 2 things that we can all admit? Our history didn't begin with slavery.
No.
Our history did not begin with slavery, and the tribes are the only identity that is left open. So how do we not go into that seat? What could be the downside of keeping the commandments?
Mm-hmm.
What could be the downside?
Mm-hmm.
And there is none. Mm-hmm. If you say that you are freed from the law and you live under grace, what is the downside of keeping the commandments? What are works? What are works going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Works will have to actually line up with what we do in terms of following the law, because it is shown in our behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's shown in our behavior. And so all of these things came up in me. All of these things have been coming up in me. And it's a fire burning in me. It's a fire burning in me to say, listen, come out of these churches lest you partake in her plagues, in her judgments. Come out. Come out. And you literally see the scriptures come alive when you stand on the name. You literally see it.
Yes.
Everybody, it's like the whole time that I was a Christian, I was thinking, wait a minute, where's all this tribulation going to come from? Where's all this tribulation going to come from? You don't, as a Christian, you don't see it, and not in America. You don't see no tribulation against Christians, but you see all of the things that the church is accepting, all of the homosexuality and the witchcraft and trying to get the world to come into the church by doing what the world does, that's backwards. Backwards. And we can laugh at it now, but we recognize it with open eyes.
That's right.
We recognize it with open eyes, and to sit there and say, okay.
Did we lose you, Aki? Are you there? I think we might have lost our Aki.
For the sake of the church, I said, well, why is there no persecution in America like that? Why are they being persecuted?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I think we lost the key, Derek. I hope we can get him back. You know, he said something and I laughed there because my wife used to ask the same question. Where's the persecution? My wife used to be puzzled with that question. She would always say, where is the persecution? It says that we're supposed to be persecuted. Where's the persecution? As the church, where's the persecution? You know?
I would read certain things. I would just be so puzzled, like, well, why is this not happening?
Yeah. The church is esteemed and loved and promoted in America. It's not being persecuted. Of course, they have a narrative about persecution. Oh, wait. I think Fuse knocked me off. Hold on. Let's see. I think Fuse might have knocked me off. So I'm the one that's missing.
No, I used to remember that. I mean, not I used to remember that. I remember that. I used to be so puzzled about that.
Okay.
This conference is being recorded.
Wow, sorry.
Then we jump and we say, we take it and say, this is us. This is us. And Aki, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you, not only for what is being provided, but thank you for having a place where I can come and observe Shabbat, because I haven't had this. I've been looking for it for 2 months. I've been looking for it and I've been observing Shabbat now. I've been observing it, but I just haven't had a chance to sit down and listen to anybody. So I caught an upload of your video last week, and I listened to it, and I put a response on YouTube, and I said, wait a minute, now if they did it last week, they should be doing it this week. and hallelujah, that is exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So I just wanted to give my testimony, Aki, and to tell all my brothers and sisters that we need to be strong in Yahuah. We need to keep continuing on, guard the commandments, love Yah, and guard the commandments and the kingdom. We're gonna be there for the kingdom. We're going to be able to see the Mashiach come, and we're going to be there. And that happiness, that love that's in us, we got to keep that. We got to keep that. So thank you for letting me share that.
Praise Yahuah, and to the key, to the for sharing. I read your response on YouTube earlier this week. It might have been day before yesterday that I read it, that I saw it, and it was just a beautiful response, Aki. It you might notice, you might see my response. It was just I forget how I responded, but it was just, it just brought joy to my ruach, just what you expressed. And it was just a baraka. Now, praise Yahuah for you, Aki. One of the things that I say, Yahuah has put in me to say and to declare is this, because some people might not think it's real, but he has put it in me to declare this: the awakening is real, and there is a shaking in Big Valley. They used to have a Western years ago called Big Valley. One of them shows. Well, the real Big Valley is the valley spoken of in the book of Yahuah, Ezekiel chapter 37. And that is the valley of dry bones, and the awakening is real, and there is a shaking in Big Valley. And so I made a banner something, you know, like you see on the screen. I made a banner about that. Awakening is real, and I've been using it. The awakening is real. And so, as Aki shared, he came to a knowledge of Yahuah 2 months ago, and you could tell the zeal, the passion, the love for Yahuah. You can hear it. And Aki, I was chuckling as you were laughing, talking about the persecution when it comes to the church. And I was laughing because my wife, when we were in the church, my wife had the same question. Don't I see the church being persecuted? Where is it? Well, you know, so when does this begin? When does it fit in? You see, and, you know, so it just brought back some memories there. And I was chuckling at that because my wife was saying the same thing. You see, family, when we begin to share our testimonies, what we begin to realize is we share a whole lot of the same testimony. Our testimonies are quite similar because it is Yahuah that's doing the work. None of us went to a seminary, or any other place where we were brainwashed. This is Yahuah awakening his people. You see, so the awakening is real. We give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem for what is happening. Go ahead, babe.
It's something how when you hear somebody else that has just, you know, come into the knowledge of Yahuah, when you hear that excitement, that joy, that zeal, it does something to the person who has, you know, been in this a little bit longer. It just makes you like leap for joy and just like praise Yahuah all over again. It's like, wow, yes, there it is, yeah. You know, that's how I felt when I was listening to this talk.
Praise Yahuah.
Wow, thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you for your ruach, and just, you know, just makes you want to pray for those that's waking up and haven't woke up yet. You just get excited because Yahuah is real.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Praise Yahuah. So, indeed, so encouraging.
Yes.
Because you know, I think of Akut Yaria and others. Been in this walk for quite a while, and it might be, and you've been in the walk for a while. You might wonder, man, Yahuah, is your word coming to be? Are your people? Is it gonna happen? And every time you get a testimony such as this, it is a reminder that Yahuah is an Elohim of his word, and that his time is not our time. His ways are not our ways. And he is working, and it is coming to pass. And so my living has not been in vain. My living has not been in vain. And so we just give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem for that. We barak Yahuah. We barak Yahuah.
Thank you, Father, for your ruach that goes to and forth in this earth, just waking your people up, Father.
Yes.
And we pray that he keep those grounded in him.
Hallelujah.
Continue to give them eyes to see his word for what it is truly worth.
Yes, indeed.
And that he would give them strength in their body. Not even strength in a way that we look like at a strong person, but a strength that gives you a strong face when you are looked at with the responses from people that you are only trying to
help
to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he said he would make our faces like flint. Mm-hmm. You know, that strength right there, that we wouldn't give up and sharing with other people, that we would continue, that they would continue, that I would continue to be strong and have faith only in Yahuah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, Akeem Franklin says, are Christians being persecuted like they often say in those third world countries? And here's the truth. Here's the reality. They make it seem bigger than it actually is. But at the same time, here's the other reality. It's not just the Christians who are being persecuted in other countries. People of all religions get persecuted in other countries. The Christians persecute Muslims in some countries. Muslims persecute Christians in some countries. the Buddhist is persecuted in other countries, and they persecute other people in their country, and so on and so forth. Everybody persecuting everybody. You see, that's not the kind of persecution that the scriptures speak of concerning the nation of Yasharal. The day at the time of Yahakab's trouble, we have been living. That's our persecution. Bondage is our persecution. Being driven out of the land and taken into captivity is our persecution. So we have been living the persecution. What we are awaiting is deliverance from the persecution. But we are literally living it. We have been living it. And as Aki Derek pointed out, there came, or Aki Keith, I don't remember who pointed it out, but there came a point when the chains were no longer needed, and because the chains were taken off, people have this perception that they are free, but in reality, you're not free. You're just a trained elephant. What do I mean by that? That you're just a trained elephant. You see those circus elephants? They're trained elephants. Now, you know how they train them? You see those circus elephants? When you see them performing, you don't see any chains on them, right? No, you don't see any chains on them because the work has already been done where they can take the chains off of them. But they know they take the chain off and they still, in their mind, they think that they're free. How do they train these elephants? They put a big ball and chain on them. They put this big ball on chain and chain on their feet, on one leg. Okay? And then what they do is, they have them this ball and chain on this ball and chain, and they would walk around. And when they try to get away, now what they used to do before, they would also spike the collar. They would spike the collar. So when as the elephant walks around, when he goes too far and pull on that chain, he gets pricked by the spike, and he would come right back. He would get back in line. Okay. Now, when the human rights people begin to cry out, they stop spiking the collar and they just put the ball on chain on them. And what they do is they walk around, but they go so far and they get yanked back. So after a period of time, they realize if I go so far, I'm going to get yanked back. So they just stay within a certain perimeter. So when the ball and chain is taken off of them, they still stay within a certain perimeter because they have been conditioned to stay in a certain perimeter. Only once in a while, you will find one who is so crazy to realize that the ball and chain ain't there. And you see him taking off down the road, and they got to chase after him. And he's wrecking everything in his way. You say, you had me fooled, but not no more. You're going to have to kill me to keep me. You see? But that's what they do. They condition them with a ball and a chain. And because every time they would go beyond a certain point, they get yanked back. They say, oh, I can only go but so far. You know what they did? They shrunk. What they did was they shrunk their sphere of, how should I put it? Their sphere of reference. They shrunk their sphere of reference. That's what they did. Same thing they did to us in slavery. That's why our people can, in many cases, dream, can aspire, because you have been limited in your mind. Through physical force, you have been limited in your mind. You see? And so some people don't, they can't dream. They can't see beyond the next minute. They can't see beyond the next day. You have a people planning for 50 years in advance. You have people planning 100 years in advance. And if you ask our people to write a plan for a month, they're stuck. They cannot write a plan for a month. They can't see that far. How did that happen? Conditioning. Conditioning. You see? But then you have other people who are prepared to think ahead to the point that they can sit and they can plan 100 years in advance. You see?
What that clip say? The guy, that slave that be slaves that could thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And he says they believe that it, our genealogy basically they believe that it stays in us up to 10 generations.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to drive it out of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Now, so that's absolutely, that's what has happened to us, you see. So that's just the way it works. We are elephants on the who think that we're still on the ball and the chain. But the only reason why the ball and chain ain't near is because we have been conditioned. Now, though, if you do realize that the ball and chain ain't there and you do step out of your sphere of interaction, oh, they're going to let you know you've stepped out of line. That's what we were talking about earlier. When that lion realizes he ain't no longer on that ball and chain and he start running down the road, they're coming after him. Don't think that he's going to make his home any other place. They're going to get him by all means necessary. That's what has happened. Okay. So I praise Yahuah for the awakening of his people. The awakening continue. We give Yahuah praise, and we know that it is real because we ain't got nothing to do with it. It is the work of Yahuah. It is the work of Yahuah. And Yahuah continued to draw people to his truth. Yahuah continued to draw people to his truth. We give Yahuah praise for that, you see. All right. Well, family, any other comments before we close out? Akut al Yashaba. I haven't heard your voice on the mic for a long time, Akut. Please go ahead, Akut.
Tuda Aki for the mic. Can I be heard?
Yes, you can, Akut. Praise Yahuah.
Oh, praise Father, praise Father. I have first and foremost, I want to give all praises and all esteem to Yahuah, who keeps us daily in and out. He's just so faithful.
Praise Yahuah.
And I want to, I'm just so full until I don't know what to say.
Yes, I understand.
Today's lesson, I don't know where to begin. I had been feeling very, very down, very discouraged. I wouldn't say discouraged, but very disappointed in my people, to be very truthful. Because of and I know why, because we've been talking about it all day, the ignorance and it's as though they want to be ignorant. They don't want the truth. And it had been getting me down I guess for quite a while now. And when I heard you speaking earlier about our part, it's so easy for us to constantly point the finger at the heathen.
Yes.
Point the finger, and not take responsibility for our part in this whole situation. And we have to begin to focus less. I mean, it's very difficult to say we want to focus less on the heathen because he's always in our faces. But if we would focus, I would say, at least half as much as on Yahuah, as we focus on the enemy. I think that we could see ourselves getting somewhere, but we do rightfully get caught. I can understand we get caught up because we're being so mistreated. But we need to start focusing on our redemption, on what Father has promised us, and we need to get back to the drawing board. And I want to say also, I don't want to take too long here. I got so many thoughts in my mind, I don't know where to go. But for a long time, I had been wanting to hear from our brothers. I used to sit here and I used to sit when the women were, coming to the mic so often, and I used to say, where are the men? Where are the men? Well, praise Father, he said he would give us the desires of our hearts. And certainly some wonderful men, Father is bringing our brothers in, and they're speaking up because so many bad things are said about the men of Yasharel. They have been given a bad name. So I just want to praise Father for this wonderful teaching. It's just so dynamic. I can't even express how dynamic this teaching. All of the teachings are dynamic. But this one here today, it really hit the spot with me. I want to say another thing also. When, as you said, Aki, when you stand on the name, something happens. Something happens, and when you stand firmly, and I've been talking with this woman now, I think for about months, and she keeps asking me these silly questions. So it came down to a point when she asked me if I knew that Jesus, what about Jesus? And I simply said to her, the words just came. I believe Father brought them to me. And I simply said, he never existed. Well, that was so shocking to her. I could see the shock run through her, And then I asked her, I said, is Cinderella real? No. I said, well, then neither is Jesus, Well, this woman, she was beside herself. She couldn't take it any longer. So she got up, she packed up her little pot, whatever she had with her junk, and she said she had to go. All of a sudden, she had to go to the bathroom. So I think that sent her to the bathroom. So when you stand, as you were talking earlier, Aki, when you stand firm and you speak, you allow Father to speak through you, and you don't waver. You can see the power that Father, brings forth. I have no power, but you can see the power because it moves the people. So and other things I could say too that I've been going through. But I just want to again praise Father for you. You always say that you appreciate us. Well, Aki, we appreciate you. We just thank Father for you. And I'm not saying this because I sit under the teachings here, but I don't know of anyone on the internet. And I've been around for a while. I've been on the internet for, I think, starting 2003. And I've been all over the place. Pal Talk, Skype, I've been all over the place. And I just don't know of anyone who teaches the truth the way you do. That's why you're so hated. That's why people are told not to have anything to do with you. And I think it's really out of fear of the truth, because the truth is brought forth so powerfully until they can't take it. It's like a two-edged sword. So praise Father for you. Praise Father again for this lesson. And I want to, I have so many things I want to say running through my mind, but I can't bring them out. And I don't want to take too long. And I don't like getting on the mic.
We're glad to hear you. Miss your voice, Akut. You really did.
Oh, thank you. Praise Father. Praise Father. I've been purposely avoiding coming to the mic. Thank you and praise Father. I want to mention about the fast that Aki Franklin had brought up about coming to the room together, those of us who can, because many of us, we have many responsibilities and we can't do it, but those of us who can. And I was texting to him in the room. You were teaching and obviously you didn't see it, but we were thinking about August 22nd because Aki Yahuah goes into his operation on the 23rd.
Okay.
So we were thinking about the evening of the 22nd. I believe that's what's that, second day, Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Evening of the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the day before
Yeah.
his Monday,
Yeah.
before his operation. So I want to put that out to the room. Monday or second day,
Yes.
August 22nd. And what about 7 Eastern Standard Time? Prayer and fasting, yes. Sort of, I didn't want the room to close without getting that, out there.
Yes. Indeed. Agreed.
Okay, so then I just wanted to put that in the room, Aki. And also, I want to bring up an issue that I had brought up to you, I think a couple of months ago, about, this system here is going to shut down, internet, phones, you name it. They're going to shut down, and we could wake up one morning and have no internet,
Mm-hmm.
no phone, no nothing. That wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking about a way of connecting with one another when this happens. So I think there's something that we can pray on, a mechanism, a mechanism whereby we don't even know each other by name. All we know are our Facebook names, our Fuse names, our YouTube names, but we don't even know one another. So let us pray, if I may ask that in the room. Let us pray for the mechanism for us to have some way of contacting one another.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about the internet, because that will not even be an option. A way that we can plan, make a plan, so that when things go down, we can still reach one another. So I just wanted to bring that up in the room for prayer, and some thoughts. Yes, internet is already under control, and they're listening to everything, and so they feel very powerful right now. But their day is coming. So, and so again, thank you for the mic, and again, praise Father for this wonderful teaching, this room. And I'm so happy that we're on YouTube now, and we're on Google Hangout, which gives us a far-reaching, I'm sorry, what am I going to say? Gives us much leverage, much availability, simply put. To many more people.
Yes.
So sorry I sound so strange here, but I just don't like talking on the mic. There was a time way back when I used to come to the mic, and we had some people in the room who didn't like women coming to the mic, and they gave Aki Makael and me a lot of grief back in the day. And I think that could carry over even to now. I feel strange coming to the mic, but that wasn't right. That was sheer ignorance, So that's why I don't come to the mic very much. But and I don't like. I'm sort of like you, Aki. My voice. I don't know. I praise Father for my voice. I'm certainly not complaining, but people who love their voices, I think they might have a problem. So anyway, Chuda again for the mic, and much love to everyone in the room. Mashpaka, I love you all, and I hope someday, well, we will. I hope we meet in the kingdom. Praise Father.
Praise Yahuah. Praise Father Akut, and Tuda for sharing. And you brought up some important points there, Akut. Our ability to stay in touch. If it should be that we are unable to do so by the means that we currently use, it is important for us to be able to connect with one another. And there was a time where we had a running contact list, but still it was quite internet-based, email addresses and things like that. But I believe it's important, necessary for us to be able to. It might be snail mail. It might not be as fast as it will be if you have no internet service or whatever the case is for disruption. Um, you know, we are a very scattered people. We are very scattered. Right here in this room right now, we have people from all over the United States and around the world. And some of our family who were here earlier, and maybe not here now, but we're from all over the place. We are quite scattered, you know. Yeah, and even with telephone, you know, maybe so. I don't have a cell phone, um, which is something my wife always tell me we need to get a cell phone. I might sound strange today, but it's another expense, and you know, um, I. I don't have it like that, and if I do get a cell phone, it's going to be a very cheap one because I don't believe in giving them my money um, uh, where I don't have to. But you know, or let me say, give them Yahuah's money because it is Him that give me the power um, to earn it. But you know, whatever the case is. Yes, go ahead.
Forgive me, Aki, for breaking in.
No problem.
Forgive me. When you mentioned phones, you know, all of this technology, I'm thinking about a time when this technology will somehow be very, very limited.
Mm-hmm.
Even with mobile phones, you know, with their technology, we have to think ahead of. We have to think out of the box. We have been so used to using the enemy's options until our minds work that way now. He's trained us quite well. And so I remember at one point we had started, in fact, I still have it in my files. We had started a mailing list. And I had started, you know, recording our addresses.
Yeah.
But I understand that not everybody wants to do that. But at one point, I was compiling a mailing list. The names and addresses were being sent to me, and I was just keeping a hard copy of them, you know. So that's a possibility for people who feel comfortable with that. We could establish a list of real names, you know, along with the you know, the YouTube names or whatever, the Facebook names. So that's for anyone who feels comfortable. So, but I'm just brainstorming right now. We have to do something because things are getting pretty strange. And anytime we're on their system and we're speaking over their system and they show us what power they have by cutting us off. You know, they're just showing us, hey, we got the power. We can cut off your voice anytime we want to, you see. So they're showing their butts right now. So we have to get ourselves together without the internet somehow and do it that way. You know, planning is very important. There's a saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah.
So I think we need to put a plan in place that will not be over the internet. We have to do that. So I just wanted just to put that thought out there.
Indeed.
And Tudor again, and much love, Mashpakal.
Praise Father. And indeed, Akut. And somebody had mentioned postcards, snail mail, letters. So mailing, us having, you know, being able, knowing each other's, having each other's mailing addresses is good. Also, where we can and if necessary, if somebody isn't too far away, we got to check on somebody. You know, you have an address, it'll be easier to put that into play. That is important and necessary for us to do. It you know, family, it is an important thing. And me personally, I like for people to be comfortable in sharing that information. So you consider it, and you know, you if you desire to, we want to set up, have that list and have it available. It'll be in the possession of myself and Akut Al Yashaba. So you can certainly. This is what I'm going to do. Akut Al Yashaba. You can email Akut Al Yashaba, um, and she'll create the list, and then she can forward a copy to me, and I'll save a copy, and so we'll have it. And if you ever need to reach out to somebody in that way, let us know. And if you need their mailing address, of course, if you're going to mail anybody anything, first find out from them if it's okay. I believe that it's important to follow just certain. Uh, Matter of fact, before we give anybody's address, we would first find out from the person if that is okay. And so I believe that's the way to go. All right, but it is important. Um, you know, we're quite scattered, but at the same time, we are very concerned about our people, about us. We are very concerned, and if we don't see you, our first concern is hoping that you are okay. Um, Not from the perspective of why aren't you here? You must be here and you should be here. No, not from that perspective. I was on YouTube the other day. I clicked on this teaching from somebody, and the guy was on there saying that certain individuals aren't here and they're supposed to be here. Basically reprimanding them for not being there. No, that's not the way we function. Yeah, Christian pastors do that. We don't function like that. Um, you know, there's no regulation, no rule that say you must be here. No, I don't believe in that. You see, um, but yet, out of concern for our people, it's important for us to be able to reach. Yes, indeed. Yes, key. Yeah. Yeah, mess up their accounting for that week. Yeah. But it's important for us to be able to reach out to one another if necessary. All right. Well, family, once again, and Akut Jeanette, I saw your comments earlier. We praise Yahuah for you also, Akut. And we're just thankful to Yahuah for all of his people, all of his sheep. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, we're going to close out, family. I've held you very long. I know. I'm long-winded and everything else, and I've held you long. Wanted to say to you for your patience and for you hanging in there. But we are going to get ready to close out. Leila, too, good night to you, Aki. Good night. All right, so we're going to prepare to close out. Once again, it's been a baraka spending the Shabbat with each and every one of you. Praise Yahuah for you all. Allahu Yahuah. Praise Father. Yahuah, we thank and praise you for yet another Shabbat. We thank and praise you for your word. We praise you for your wisdom, for your knowledge, for your understanding. We praise you for your guidance. We praise you for your continued awakening of your people. And we pray, Yahuah, that you would continue to awaken, Hallelujah, continue to draw and continue to make your truth plain to your people. Continue to strengthen and encourage us in our walk. We pray for families that you are drawing to yourself. We pray, Yahuah, that you would work in the lives of husbands and wives, children, households. Yahuah, we pray that you would complete the work that you've started, and we know you will. So just continue to have your way in our lives, I pray, Father, as we humbly submit ourselves to you. We pray that you would watch over us and keep us, that you would be with us through this week. We pray also, Father, we continue to lift up the needs of our family to you, needs of healing, and whatever the need may be, you know it, of our family. And we just pray for your baraka. Do this, we pray, in Yahusha's name. Aman. Allahu Yahuah. Family, may Yahuah barak you and keep you. And may Yahuah lift up his face upon you and show favor unto you. May Yahuah cause his face to shine upon you and give you his shalom. May the name of Yahuah be upon you. Hallelujah. Love you all, family. Leila Tuban Shalom. I'm going to close by playing this reminder. This is what we're all about, the truth, the whole truth, and absolutely nothing but the truth. We love Yahuah, we seek Yahuah. That's what it's all about. Love you all, Mashpaka, Leila Tub. I'm stopping the broadcast on YouTube. Love you all, family, and Yahuah willing, I'll see you soon. Shalom.